What's up, Blair?
We just flipped our mattress.
And?
I think it's been on backwards the
Why?
whole time. Because look at all this leg room! By the curve of the mattress.
Yeah. Piper, are you excited? I believe so. Yeah, I think we've been sleeping the wrong way all the time.
I think so too. That's all.
Hello everyone, Brad here. I want to talk quickly about a couple things. Thing one, insurance. I get asked quite a bit, what insurance do you guys use on your rig? And the answer is Progressive Full-Timers Insurance. Not that I'm an ambassador or any affiliate links association with it. Progressive is just what we use. A couple things I would mention to everyone about picking an insurance company for your rig is things you need to ask. Do you store your rig often? If you do store it, is it covered while it's in storage? Does that include any malfunction? If the water lines break or frozen because of whatever improper winterization, hail damage while it's being stored, damage on the property of the storage, somebody runs into it while they're pulling their rig out beside you. Or is the insurance only an extenuation of your tow vehicle? That's happened to us before. We were disconnected from a previous RV we had, and the black tank, what held the black tank to the bottom of the rig, malfunctioned and it fell. At the time, the insurance we had would not cover to get that repaired because it was not physically hooked to my truck when the accident happened. It was just parked in an RV park, and down came the black tank. That's a story for another time. But we had to pay for that out of pocket because it was not covered. So I always ask the questions about, what's the deductible? What truly do you cover? What do you cover outside of the manufacturer's warranty? If you are on an extended vacation in your rig and something happens to your rig, would that company pay for you to stay in a hotel room for a couple days, or pay for you to get back, or whatever the things are? Think through the scenarios for the way you plan to use your RV, and then would your insurance cover it in those instances? If you're across state lines, if you are in Canada or in Mexico, or those things like that are also very important. Depending on how you're going to use your RV is the way you need to ask questions about what's covered, specifically what's covered in your insurance. Are the things inside your rig also covered? So we have our computers, for example, we have our jewelry, we have our whatever is in our rig that's we're taking with us on our trip. Should something happen to the RV, are those items also covered inside of my rig under my insurance plan? So just things you need to ask, and be deliberate in your questions and go through a detailed look. Don't just sign the contract and keep rolling, because it may come back to bite you. Hello adventurers, Brad here. If you've watched our videos for some time, you know that we have SnapPads on our stabilizing jacks. What I have not yet done is put one on the front. Guess what I got in the mail today? One for the front. So I'm going to put it on and check it out. Follow along. On each of these SnapPads, the best thing to do is put a bead of dish soap around the edge and slide it right down on. So that's what we're going to do. First, I just want to verify that I have the right size. So let's put our bead of soap around the edge, smooth it around. And I will tell you again, I've done review videos, and I can attach one here on the screen, a link to it, but I've been very pleased with the SnapPad process. It just makes it life easier. So we have these orange leveling blocks, Lego blocks I like to call them, underneath our jack right now because we put a lift kit on this thing and it takes forever to just sit there with your finger on a button and run this thing up and down. So that's why I have this large stack of Lego blocks under here right now. And just like that, it snaps in. SnapPads are fantastic. If you haven't got yours yet, please see the links down below in this video. You can get them there. Huge fan. It does take this setup and tear down time away because you don't have to bury these in the dirt or in the grass or mud or anything else. And it does give you an increased footprint, and it prevents rust and corrosion and scratches on the bottom of your feet pads or your jack pads or anything like that. So I'm a huge fan. Get yours today. Check them out. Also, the customer service for SnapPad is absolutely fantastic. I've had nothing but excellent interaction with anybody that I've talked to there on many, many, many occasions. So I got a package in the mail from a thing called Lockout Blocker. It's on Etsy. I'll put a link down below. Got this thing in the mail, but I've been playing with it, kind of sorting out what I need to do. But the Lockout Blocker, it comes with two different sides. Basically what it is, many people complain about locking themselves out of their Airstream, but that part right there is very easy to do as you come in and out the door. And if you don't have a key outside, you're locked out. So this device is a piece of plastic, and it just adheres to the plate, which prevents that from happening without deliberate push down and locking. It's a very simple thing to install. It's just double-sided tape and a little piece of plastic here. So I'm going to install it and see how it works out. The other thing that comes with is this pull handle. If you own an Airstream or you've closed the door on an Airstream a number of times, you notice that every time you've got to shut it or slam it and pull this handle, it's quite a bit of stress on that handle, and it's loose. So this comes with a separate handle that you just drill a couple holes in your door plate there, and then you can use this handle. Put so much stress on this handle, which could fail in the future. I don't know. Airstream's been around for a while, but it is a lot of stress on here to have to slam the door or pull it shut tight from inside with this pull handle here. We've had this one a year, and this handle's kind of loose, but that's pretty common. So it comes with this little device here. You got to line this part up to make sure that your plate is where it needs to be and it doesn't hit the door as you open and close the screen door. And also important is it doesn't interfere with you opening and closing your handle here. I think I found a good place to put that, so I'm going to drill my couple holes here. Alright, so it's time to put the door plate back on. One thing I did, and it's easy to see here against the door, is I routed out a little bit of this corner edge because the screw that holds the plate on rubbed against that, caused a little bit of a binding back here. Not a big deal. It's just a little plastic plate. So let's put this bad boy back on. There. Alright, plate's installed. Little rubber grommets back on your handle there. Now to install the locking mechanism. So basically what this thing does is it prevents you from pushing this lock closed when this is stuck here. So I can't do that. I have to actually push that down to get that to move across. So that's where I want to put this. Clean this thing off with my alcohol wipe. It has some 3M double-sided tape here on the back. What I would recommend is before you stick this on, make sure that this part is snug up against it, even pushing against it some, because otherwise it would be very slippery and easy to not engage. So double-sided tape's on. Let that sit for a minute. Yeah, that keeps me from locking my door pretty easily. I like this new handle. This matches the Airstream pretty well. Looks good. And our new lockout prevention method. One other thing you can use as a preventative measure to locking yourself out is not really to prevent from locking yourself out, it's what to do in the event of that. If you have a Ford vehicle and it has a door code on it, you can leave a spare set of keys inside your vehicle. I recommend that regardless. You can also get a realtor lock, and this will serve two purposes. So a realtor lock that goes around the door, the little handle that goes around the door handle, and with the lock box on the bottom. And you can use that rounded part, that U-shaped part, the lock part, to go around your propane tanks. And inside the lock box have a separate set of keys. Join me and I'll show you. So I know I covered this in a previous video, but my lock box keeps people from taking my tank cover off and locks a spare set of keys in here. Really handy. It's just a second set of things you can have on your rig. Okay, now that our glue's had time to dry, you can see how this prevents that from locking. So I have to push this part down, then slide the lock over, and that goes in behind it. But this handle's pretty nice. Looks good. I just want to say thanks to Rob at Lockout Blocker. Again, you can find this on Etsy, and I'll put a link down in the show notes down below. You can get yours there if this is something that is of interest to you. And I'll be back in a few days with a follow-up to see how Blair and I like this. So we've been using the Lockout Blocker and handle here for a week now, and it's worked out very well. The handle is our favorite part of this job because it makes shutting the door quite easy, and the Lockout Blocker is doing its job and holding up well. Anyone with small children who may lock themselves out pretty easy, or someone who is just new to RVing or new to this lifestyle, and an Airstream specifically, may find this beneficial. Blair and I have never locked ourselves out. That's not saying we won't, but we haven't yet to do so, and we think it's a good deal. It's a cheap enough option. It's an easy enough to install option, so you do not lock yourself out accidentally. But otherwise, a good product. Really highly recommended if that's something you think you need. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's last night we spent boondocking, and I've been asked the question many times: do you unhook when you boondock? Typically, if we're staying one night, or just boondocking in general, or harvest hosting, or things like that, I run the jack down, and then I unhook my chains, and unhook my emergency brake cable, and my 7-way pin, but I don't unhook it from the truck. This is in the event we have an emergency and we need to get out of here fast. I don't want to have to tow a 30-foot trailer behind me if I have an emergency and have to go somewhere. I'll also go to my GPS in the truck, not the phone GPS, but the truck's GPS, and I put in the nearest hospital. So should an emergency situation arise and I need to get to the hospital, I can hop in the truck, I can pull this one pin right here, and I'll just drive away from the trailer. It's probably not the best thing in the world to do, but in an extreme situation, I don't really care. And I have the closest nearest hospital or medical facility already dialed in, so it's not something I got to think about when I'm worried about something else. So that's what we do when we boondock. We typically do just like this. I'll leave the chains unhooked and everything set up.